people trying to distance themselves from the Republican Party in numerous ways at this point, whether it's Colin Powell or even Lisa Murkowski.
But that's not demographics, is it? That's not demographics.
No, that's my point. I think that by there might be something new here, and we might actually see the dying of the Republican Party faster than one might have originally thought, and that might actually open the opportunity for a new leftist party to actually emerge in the national scale.
I mean, I think the idea of that party dying is wrong. I mean, I think it could be more of a rump party on some level. But remember, they're strong in enough states that they can control the Senate without too much, with still like with 40% of the population. This dynamic exists in many states and across the country. I think that the Democrats would need to take advantage of this moment in a way that they will not take advantage of it. I think they, at least in terms of like the elected Democrats in the Senate in particular, and the House, I think that's, hopefully it's changing a little bit. I think that, it's conceivable, down the road maybe, but
Sam, that's why they're thinking so long term. That's why they want to play these games and change the election, at least for the presidential elections, electoral, because they don't they're facing demographics. Simultaneously, though, there is a rising right, like young male radicalization. I just don't know what that looks like in numbers. I mean, has anybody looked at the numbers? I should have done this for the presidential to see what the age breakdowns are in terms of support of Trump. Those are the numbers.
I'll try to find it now.
But the Democrats, it's going to be 50-50 in the Senate. The Democrats are going to are going to have gone in there with 40 million more votes. Is that right?
That's
or 40 million more people, I should say. I wonder how many more votes they garner in a 50-50 split. That's really the question in my mind. So not just the more Americans that they represent, but how many more votes they actually represent. And so I think like demographically, I think it favors Democrats. I think also demographically it favors the left parts of the Democratic Party and maybe the left outside of the Democratic Party, demographically speaking. But I'm not quite sure that demographics is destiny in the way that, I remember that Tixera and Judas book that I read, 20 years ago, saying, the coming Democratic majority, there's a lot of things that can go sideways. You now have a court which more than likely for decades is going to shoot down any attempts in many respects to sort of equalize the playing field in terms of when it comes to voting rights. So I don't know. I mean, my take is more or less the same. It's really a question of like, how much do Democrats hold the Republicans to account? And frankly, how well does Joe Biden do? I mean, like, when I see stuff like they're going to do the Defense Production Act, I mean, like, in a world where Joe Biden ends up doing $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, I think is unlikely, but that type of student debt relief in a world where we have unemployment insurance that continues on while employment is high, regardless, and extended unemployment benefits that continue on regardless of time frame, but more in terms of how the economy does. And in a situation where we see hundreds of billions of dollars going to cities and states, and where he really does deliver, 150 million doses of the vaccine in 100 days, let's say. And if he does that kind of stuff, I think
I had a hard time finding it, but it's on status. Whatever, I can't say. 18 to 29, it was a 62-35 split for Biden, 52-45 for 30 to 44, and then it gets, evens out in the 45 plus.
So, my perspective is the demographics are undeniably suited towards the left, without a doubt. It doesn't mean that there aren't going to be more conservative. Naturally, there's always, as people age and start to vote more, there's always a group that is more conservative because they're voting along their best interests, right? But I think ultimately, this is why the census was so important and hopefully wasn't completely screwed up this time. We have to understand what the demographics look like, but simultaneously there are people who are moving back to where they came from because of COVID, because of we don't even know what the composition of cities is going to look like as opposed to 2 years ago. Like, what does New York look like now versus 2 years ago? So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this stuff all plays out. Simultaneously, the Democratic Party has to start investing this out because the demographics are there. And they're just, we saw it with Georgia, but they're really there. And maybe that's something Jimmy Harrison, because he's the chair of the South Carolina party, maybe he has a better sense of it, maybe they can put some more money in, but I feel like the white folks that they were trying to win over in the Rust Belt, they were over the age of 65, it used to be a lot of what they were. If you didn't get them in this last election, they're gone. Start investing more. Invest everywhere, but really start investing in the future.
Apparently, I was reading that the Biden people are, at the very least, rhetorically, they're speaking like they're going to invest in all of these parties across the country. And that is, look, maybe they will, maybe they won't, but that is a marked difference from the Obama administration, which was like, it just came in and just said, crash all that. That's done. It's all
Well, also Tom Perez said he was going to do it, and then he gave voucher. He basically means tested it. He said, "Well, if you can fill out this, grant," and it was nothing, no money. It basically paid for a mailer, and that's it. And so he said, "Look, I've been investing in all these states."
Means testing state parties is a very Democratic party.
Let's play this. Which two play? Should we play number 8?
Let's start with 9.
Folks.
Or we can say 9 for tomorrow, just do 8 today.
Yeah, I guess maybe let's do 9 tomorrow because we'll be able to